Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. This time we're going to break down the ARG 5K Top 16 and kind of the metagame that took place in that. So kind of an expected top cut breakdown where you have 10 Hirudegarn decks, 9 of which being Hirudegarn Storm, but the ending and the finals were very unusual, which was very interesting actually. So before we get into this, if you guys are new to the channel, hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button would be super duper awesome of you guys. And if you guys are longtime fans of the channel and want to help me keep doing what I'm doing, bringing you the content that you guys know and love, you can check out my Patreon down in the description below. Just $1 a month can help me bring you guys this content. And speaking of patrons, shouts out to Kevin, Brian, Devin, and Sakib. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so we'll get into this breakdown. So we've got Hirudegarn with 10 slots in top cut, 9 of which being Storm, 1 of which being mono blue. So, very interesting, very telling. We have Hirudegarn, most highly repped leader. Definitely means something. Best leader in the format. I think we can all agree on that for the most part. I think Shenron would be a lot better if the Storm variant of this deck didn't exist. But the fact that the Storm variant of this deck exists kind of pushed Shenron out of the format, seemingly, which why in top cut there's only one Shenron deck. And that Shenron deck actually, not the variant I was expecting to see in top cut, but a little bit more on that a little bit later. Then we have 2 Janembas in top cut, 1 of which was also in the finals. And now that I'm speaking about the finals, congratulations to Jonathan Rodriguez on winning this with his mono blue Hirudegarn deck. That was the other Hirudegarn variant in top cut. There was 9 Storm and the 1 mono blue. And congratulations to Day, I believe his name is, for getting second place. And also shout out to Trey Faircloth, my teammate from Shenron's Lair, getting top 4 with his Hirudegarn Storm deck. Congrats, bro. So we got 1 Vegeta Baby as well. Very interesting. Arguably a very rogue leader. I mean, I don't think any of Vegeta Baby's topped at Nats. Very good leader nonetheless. I mean, it just got some really good effects, just gaining advantage on the front side a lot and being able to nag your opponent, but a bit more on that later as well once we get into some card choices I want to talk about. And then we have 1 Storm Trunks, and then we have 1 Galactic Frieza, which is also on my teammate Trey's channel, so definitely check that out when you guys get a chance. So now we'll come over to this card list. We'll talk about a couple things. So Hirudegarn, like I said before, I think it's definitely established its place as the best leader in the format. I mean, like I said before, I think it pushed out a lot of Shenron variants, especially the Shenron Gogeta 7 variants, which, I've talked about it before. I think the Shenron Gogeta 7 pairing is absolutely broken. Probably the best control strategy in the game, and I mean, it just does what it does and can't be interacted with. However, it's like a 90-10 matchup in favor of Hirudegarn Storm, or Storm in general. So I mean, it's really tough for that deck when it gets a lot of early pressure put on it, because it does need to make it to turn 4, turn 5, sometimes even turn 6 if it gets unlucky enough to really make a big play. So the fact that this deck was so highly repped in top cut means that it was also highly repped probably in Swiss, which means that this deck probably weeded out a lot of the Shenron Gogeta 7 decks, probably a lot of the Shenron decks in general. Not being able to swing your leader with Shenron is such a big deal. You can't even try and clear those Gotens. It gets really wonky. But then the one Shenron deck that did top was actually a hand control variant, playing something like the Super 17 Infernal Machine. So that was actually really interesting that it wasn't a Shenron Gogeta 7 variant, it wasn't a Boo variant, it wasn't a UI variant, it was the hand control variant, which I think can play a little bit lower to the ground, which probably means it did better in this type of format where Storm is the best deck. Playing a little lower to the ground probably helps you out a lot there. So you had the Super 17, you had the burst attack go-ons to refuel the hand, and some simple win conditions like that. The Super 17 can't be negated, so give that thing triple attack. It's going to be a low to the ground win con. Pretty good. So we'll go through this. So we have the winner, Mono Blue Hirudegarn. This actually reminds me a lot of the ARG Boston format from a few months ago, where aggro, the red-blue Hirudegarn deck just became legal. It was arguably the best deck going into the event because of how strong of an aggro deck it was with 4 flutes. Absolutely insane. But we saw at the end of that event that it was actually SS3 Apes going up against SS3 Mono Blue Defense Turtle deck. That was the finals of that event, and this actually reminds me a lot about that, because you have all these aggro decks just sweeping up everything and representing so much of top cut, but then you have the innovative turtle deck that kind of comes in and has a great Storm matchup because it just turtles, it just plays defense so well. And you have that, and then the other half of the finals was Janemba Mill, which can somewhat be representative of like SS3 Apes because it's another turtle deck, but it can put on a little bit of pressure. You play all these crit guys, you play Adult Class Vegeta in a lot of builds, although this Janemba list was not actually one of the more aggressive ones. It's actually very turtley. So this finals was just turtle on turtle action over here. But yeah, so it kind of reminded me of that. Aggro so dominant in the format, but the turtle decks breaking through. to kind of make it to the finals and play a match in the finals. So very interesting. I think the mono blue list is actually very, very interesting. I mean, it's chock full of vanillas. You're playing Dimension Support Trunks to bring him out with crit, so you're playing 4 Phantom Flame Cannon. He played 4 in the deck, so it just seems like you're really, really trying to advantage the opponent. I mean, you're sitting on Vegito. Your opponent can't easily get over it without comboing. It literally just seems like advantage the deck, which in Dragon Ball I think can go very far because this game is completely advantage based. I mean, look at Cell Chain ripping advantage away. Look at Gogeta 7 ripping advantage away. If you can chip away your opponent's advantage, that's gonna be very, very hard for them to win the game, and that's a big factor against Storm. You chip away the advantage, they really can't do a whole lot. So congrats again, very innovative deck, very interesting deck for sure. Then we have the one Trunk Storm in Top Cut. I mean, I think at this point, since Storm's inception, like I think it's been established that Hirudegarn is just the better Storm leader, and Trunks will always be the second place Storm leader. I mean, you get this giant raw hand size with Trunks, which is really cool. You know, you don't neg on combos, and you draw 2 and when you awaken, and you swing and draw a card and all this good stuff. But I think it'll always be second to Hirudegarn simply because Hirudegarn sees more cards faster. You filter through your deck faster, so you see your better cards more often, and that's just gonna help overall consistency. And plus, Hoi is absolutely busted, so that's definitely that case. 2 Janemba and Top Cut, very, very interesting because like we have on one end of the spectrum, you know, like Matt Coombs has talked about this in videos. You have on one end of the spectrum, you have Hirudegarn Storm being the one polarizing end of the meta, and you have Shenron, typically Shenron Gogeta, being the other polarizing end of the meta, and then you kind of have Janemba Mill sitting in the middle. I mean, it's turtley enough to play against Hirudegarn and have a good matchup. It's you know, it can mill out any Shenron deck that just kind of turbos through its deck too fast. I mean, you already started out with like minus 14 cards in your deck by like the second or third turn. So it's just sitting somewhere in the middle with great matchups kind of across the board, and it can play aggressive cards as well, which is really good. So the fact that it made it to finals is not really surprising. If you kind of look at it in kind of like a teeter-totter seesaw kind of way, it kind of shows the weight of Hirudegarn Storm kind of pushing down on the format, and then Shenron Gogeta just not being as heavy of a force because, you know, you had that you had that Hirudegarn Janemba finals matchup. So very interesting. So now the Baby Vegeta deck. Very interesting deck. I mean, really good red leader. You gain a crazy amount of advantage on the front side. You take life to pop little weenies on the board, or just decrease things by 5k. You attack later, draw cards. You get crazy advantage, and then you know, you have really access to really good red cards like the Glory Obsessed Prince Vegeta. You have the Sand Strength Baby, which just comes in, negs something by 20, so essentially KOs a battle card and draws a card for like 1 or 2 energy. Very, very cheap, big threat. But then he also played the Chain Zeno variant, so he played Chain Attack into Zeno the Playing God. Very, very interesting that a deck that gained so much advantage on the front side decided to go with that package. But I mean, when you're playing the Chain Zeno deck, when you're playing the Chain Zeno package, your mid-range matchup basically becomes 50-50 by default. I mean, you're resetting the game, you're resetting the board. It really becomes a case of who draws better. I mean, he wasn't playing for Seeing Hit, but he was playing 2 Burst Tech Gohan, so he wasn't necessarily playing the best package out of the rip to kind of you know, recover from his own Chain Zeno and out advantage his opponent. But I mean, he played a really interesting leader, really cool leader, and got that top cut. Congratulations to him. Very, very interesting. We talked about the Shenron Hand Control. Not the variant I expected to see in top cut. I mean, I definitely would have expected to see more Gogeta 7s just wipe the floor with all the other mid-range decks because it's just so controlling. But I mean, I think we definitely saw the Storm decks push that deck kind of out of this tournament, which, I mean, a good and a bad thing. But I mean, you know, I don't like either deck, Storm or Gogeta 7 deck, so that's whatever it is. Then we have, you know, the swap engine. I mean, the swap engine really, you know, impactful in top cut, obviously. What's really interesting is that the toughened up Chaozu package with the toughened up Krillin put in work for this Galactic Frieza player. Really interesting that happened. I mean, he got top 16. His profile is up on my teammate channel, like I mentioned before. He took advantage of the swap engine. He Bardock to awaken, go 10 to filter through cards. Also carrying Mother Verdell to do the same thing. Just, you know, tap itself, draw a card, tap another thing, boost it up, draw a card. And then the Chaozu Krillin package to draw cards off Chaozu. You can swing with Chaozu when it gets boosted. And all these little weenies you're swinging with, you restand them and they just get protected, which is really good. I think a lot of people are starting to take Kami out of the side, at least going into this event. I think they were, because, you know, it's relatively easy to play around. But I mean, if more decks like this Galactic Emperor deck pop up, I definitely think that Kami will become another side deck staple for sure. And another note on that, I love that a Bloodlust leader is in top 16. I mean, maybe back in set 1, set 2, Bloodlust was arguably a broken card, but right now, I mean, you have so many cards that just come down, they get their effects and they're busted. Like, you know, something like, you know, maybe not like, you know, I'm exaggerating with the use of the word broken, but Super 17, really good effect. Bloodlust can stop that. Sandstring Baby, really good card. Bloodlust can stop it. Zeno Reset, Bloodlust can stop it. And I think it's really, really fair for the most part, at least. And, you know, I wish more effect negation was a thing, and I really like the new counterplay card we're getting in the next set. But I really like that a Bloodlust Leader was in there, just, you know, being able to show face and do something really cool with a unique deck. So congratulations to him. So these top 16, this standing here, what does this mean for the future? Well, it definitely shows that Hurrigan Storm is the most dominant deck of the format, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, we're getting new cards in the next set that are going to kind of limit that deck's capability to an extent. I mean, we're getting the 1-drops that hate on offensive energy manipulation, which in theory is going to harm Storm a lot. I think it will harm Storm a lot. You know, you do have answers to it. You got Crisis Crusher, you got Family Justice and Goten, but you're having to fill your Storm deck with bad answers. And then you have the Goku feature rare that's going to stop 2-drops less from attacking, and you have to play the Frieza Biding His Time, and another bad answer you have to play to the card. Realistically, you're going to have to jam your Hurrigan Storm deck with so many bad cards, I don't think it's really going to be worth it. So people might put that deck down for that reason. Now, what does that mean? Well, I mean, I think the game really opens back up again. You don't have any deck in the format that can aggress or aggro as fast as Storm can. And once that, you know, those floodgates come out that kind of hurt that type of aggressive strategy, I think we're going to go back to a mid-range meta, which I'm really excited about. However, I think it's been speculated by a lot of people, a lot of great minds in this community, and I agree with these people that if we do that, Shenron Gogeta.deck is going to dominate, because you have like the most plus leader, which is Shenron. You've got the craziest card in the game at the mid-range level, which arguably is Gogeta Hero Revive. Just nothing, you can't interact with it, you can't destroy it easily, and it resets your hand to a random 3 cards. You got to hope to draw the Mafuba, Time Magic, or Peel Off, and odds are you're not going to draw them, and you're going to die to this card. So I mean, that's going to be a little bit of a problem going forward. You know, the next event is not until January, if I believe, so we have about a month until that. I believe it's the event in Atlantic City, New Jersey, so we got some time until that. I hope Bandai is working on some sort of ban list or limited list, because I do think that Gogeta 7 is a huge problem. I don't think that cards like this are healthy for the game. You know, mini discussion on this, but there's no deck that this card will ever be using that does something, you know, fair. It's a card that, you know, basically comes down and auto wins the game. I'm not a fan of cards like that. I want there to be meaningful counterplay and interactions. I don't want my opponent to easily have wins, even though I understand the debate that, you know, when more people can win more easily, it attracts new players to the game. I understand that, but it's very, very unfun from a competitive standpoint. You know, you remove some of the RNG at least a little bit, that'd be cool. So yeah, I mean, I hope they're working on some sort of ban limited list, maybe get rid of Storm completely. I think people will put the deck down a lot. And then I think, you know, we'll have some problems in the mid-range category, like I said, with Gogeta 7 just being a dominant force. I mean, you do have certain counters to it. I mean, you know, Chain Zeno, which, in my opinion, again, another degenerate combo, but that actually does have some answers to it, so I'll say that about it. That's another issue that can potentially answer the Gogeta 7 problem. You have certain hand control variants that can also do well against it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't be like the best deck of the format, but I do have a strong inkling that it will be. So let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments below. What do you guys think would happen? What do you guys think will happen next set when these Storm answers come out, and then, you know, the mid-range game is, you know, all about it. So let me know what you guys think about that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this little ARG Orlando wrap up. With that being said, my name is Joey. This is Crossfit TCG. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.